I wanted to sort of come back to something we've done previously, but give you a different angle on it, which is that the most important thing, most important for each and every person and each and every candidate or client that you're going to talk to is about controlling the frame and the focus. Okay? You're talking to a candidate, you're talking to a client, you've got to control the frame and the focus of the conversation. Otherwise, they'll go off and talk about whatever they want to talk about, which may or may not be useful and beneficial. I'll come to that. But the bit that most people overlook is how this works, right? Which is that what we focus on and how we focus on it determines pretty much everything. Okay? You can walk into the office on a Monday morning and you can focus on the fact that you've got a blank sheet of paper and you go off and do whatever the hell you want. Or you can focus on the fact that you've got an inbox full of shit from people you don't want to be talking to. Yeah? You can focus on the fact that you haven't got the pipeline you want, or you can focus on the fact that, great, I've got a bit of time to build the pipeline I want then. It's all about what you focus on. Okay? And people don't realize just how profound that can be. I can give you a couple of physical demos of it. I'll do that in a minute, but I'll give you a bit of a simple example. There's a quote, it's most famously attributed to Tony Robbins, but it actually comes from a guy called Dr. Richard Bandler, which is that it's never too late to have a happy childhood. Right? Because it's entirely possible to rewrite your personal history, not by bullshit, not by lying, not by inventing shit, but just by choosing what you want to focus on. I've just been spending a little while with one of my new marketing team, talking about, that they're trying to think about my personal branding and, getting into stuff about, favorite child memory and all that shit. I've told you 15 seconds about my mum. That's a very thin slice of stuff to go at from looking at good childhood memories. But every day you get the chance to do something that you don't realize, which is to choose which version of you gets to show up and which version of you gets to play this day. Okay? I'll give you a couple of stupid examples. If I think about my early life, am I the fat kid who grew up in a council estate? Am I the kid who had friends that went off to be rock stars, Johnny Marr, or comedians, Caroline Aherne? Am I the fat kid, or am I the 22-year-old that was fighting professionally in K1 karate, full contact karate? Yeah. Am I the kid who failed his A-levels, or am I the man who trained clinical psychologists in NLP? Am I the kid from a council estate, or am I the kid whose son went to Winchester College and whose daughter got to go to school with the Ferragamos and the Puccis and all the great families in Florence? Okay? Am I the kid who got into sales because honestly I could speak in sentences and the rest of my colleagues couldn't? Or am I the one who was a marketing director of Mizuno, third biggest sports company in the world at 29? Yeah? Am I the one who blew a business up because of stupidity? $1.5 million a year training business, blew it up because of stupidity. Am I the one that built the business in the first place? Am I the one who had the most successful English language marketing company in Spain, or am I the one that took some piss poor decisions and lost it all because of COVID and lockdown? Well, the answer is yes to all of that. Yeah. But which combination of those bits of me do I choose to focus on? Because the fat kid has a very different future to the ex-fighter. Yeah. The guy who blew his business up has a very different today to the one who built it from an idea and a piece of paper. Yeah? We went 0 to £1.5 million a year of sales training. It took us about 2.5 years. Okay? And that was IRL training, cold calling people and getting them to spend 10 grand a lump with a group of people that were complete strangers that they'd never heard of. Yeah, yeah, we did that. Yay! We also blew it up because we were fucking stupid. Boo! Which version am I going to focus on today? You've got that as well. You've got different versions. You've got versions of your life history where you're the hero or heroine. You've got other versions of your life history where you might as well have been on heroin. Yeah? Depends which version of you want to focus on today. Not making any sense at all? Or am I just playing with myself in the privacy of my own head here? Yeah? I mean, yeah, I am, but not only that, it's a question of what you focus on. Yeah, that's what I mean about rewrite your personal history. It does get much more profound than that. But do I want to focus on the fact that, my mum was a clinical psychopath? I don't mean that as abuse. I mean it as a medical fact. She was. On the other hand, she risked death at the age of 44 to give birth to me, which was unheard of back in the day. Yeah. For about a year and a half, I was in the medical record books. I was the youngest live birth in the UK for a couple of years, £4 10 ounces. Yeah. So I can choose on the fact that she was, what's the technical term, a monster, or I can choose on the fact that, focus on the fact that, hey, I'm here. Yeah, she risked her life to get me here. Yeah, it doesn't matter what. We've all been through shit. Yeah, I've lived longer than you have. I've probably been through more of it. Okay, it may or may not have been more extreme. But what do you focus on today? And it can be literally, oh Christ. Look at the, I've got 500 messages in my LinkedIn inbox. Oh shit, I'm never going to get through all them. Or it can be, hey, I'm doing something that's generated 500 messages in my LinkedIn inbox. Yay! Now I just need to fine tune it to make sure they're actually decent. But you can take literally anything and just ask yourself a different question, focus on a different part of it, and it totally changes your experience. Completely changes your experience. Just based on what little piece of it you choose to focus on now, and now, and now. But there's one really difficult bit about it, which is that you've actually got to make it a choice. If you let your head run on autopilot, it will do whatever it does. And whatever it does is getting you the life and the results and everything else that you've got now. Yeah? And if your life and your relationships and your business and your finances and everything else is looking exactly the way you want it to, dig in, don't change a damn thing. If it's not, you need to change something about what you're focusing on. Yeah? And it can be simple stuff. It can be really profound stuff. But in my experience, it normally starts with the really tiny little simple stuff. I'm hoping you've noticed I've lost a few kilos. Yeah, that just started with start lifting heavy shit and eat more protein. That's it. Okay? Because if you're eating more protein, it's really hard to get the calories in. Yeah. Depending on how you're eating. If you're eating in the form of kebabs, it's surprisingly easy to put the weight on. But if you do it the right way, it's surprisingly easy to lose weight. If you lift heavy stuff, things happen. Yeah. Now, this isn't news to me. I used to be a professional athlete, for God's sake. Then I stopped over lockdown. None of this is new to me. This isn't a surprise. This isn't, oh my God, suddenly the lights came on and the angel choir started singing. It's just ask yourself a different question. Focus on a different thing. Not, oh Christ, why did I let myself get so overweight? Because nobody forced me to. Yeah? I did it to me. Yeah? That's what's technically known as a stupid question. Yeah? A smarter question is, what's the easiest, best, and most enjoyable way to get it off and get in shape? Yeah? It's just about the questions that you ask yourself. It's all about the choices that you make, and the way you make choices is through the questions that you ask yourself. That makes sense, guys? Yeah? Because we've done this before, but just do that for a sec. Just humour me. If you're not doing it, do that, okay? If you are already doing it, do it the other way. Notice which arm's on top, and then swap them over. Okay? Oh, that's not bad. Out of 4 people, there's normally somebody turns it. Joe can't do it. Okay? There's normally somebody turns it into John Travolta. Yeah, they're going like, night fever, night fever. But it's just, we get habits. The weird thing about habits is people think it takes years to build a habit. It really doesn't. It takes a small number of repetitions. And if those repetitions, well, if one or two things happen, if you repeat something and nothing happens, your brain will go, oh shit, may as well carry on with it then. Okay? If you repeat something and every time you do it, bad stuff happens, you'll probably stop doing it. If you repeat it and every time you do it, good stuff happens, you will absolutely repeat it. That's how habits form. Okay? Combination of repetition and emotional feedback. Okay? So if every time you make a cold call, because you've not done many, you probably won't be that great at them to start with. So you come off the phone, and every time you come off the phone, you go, oh shit, that was horrible, I don't want to do that anymore. Guess what? You'll eventually find a reason, or lots of reasons, or bullshit to not do it. Yeah? If you come off a call and you go, oh shit, how can I do it better next time? What should I have done differently? How should I play that? Yeah? If you come off a call and go, hey, I did it. Pat on the back, cup of coffee, yay. Okay? You give yourself some positive feedback. You don't have to get the positive feedback off the person you're calling. Get it off yourself for making the damned attempt. Okay? You did what most people won't. Fantastic. Give yourself a pat on the back. Go do it again. Give yourself a pat on the back. Go do it again. Give yourself a pat on the back. Go do it again. Yeah? And eventually, you put enough repetitions in, and not only will it become comfortable, like whichever thumb goes on top or whichever arm goes on top, yeah, but you'll get better at it. Because if you come off each call and go, oh shit, what should I have done differently there? How can I play that better? How can I phrase it? What would be a better question? You're going to get better. So you've got to do 2 things. Reward yourself for making the attempt, and then focus on getting better. You put those 2 things together, you can get good at pretty much anything. Pretty much anything. Okay? I just want to give you a daft example of this. Can I borrow you for a second, mate? Won't hurt, I promise. Not too much, eh? Come here for a second. Come here. Okay? Right. Okay? Face that way. Right. Right arm out. Okay? Put things in front of you, flat. Okay? And make a fist. Make it as tight as you can. Make a really tight fist. Okay? That's not bad, actually. Make a really tight fist. Okay? That's pretty good. Okay? Now try this. So your hand up. Okay? Make a fist. Fingers locked. Make a fist. And then bring it down. Okay? And nothing. Right? Even less. Right. Now try this. Okay? That, by the way, okay? The tighter you are, the more you wobble. Okay? The tighter you are, the less easy it is. Okay? So have you ever seen those things on TikTok or whatever of some old guy just walks into a gym, looks like he's got 2 bits of spaghetti for arms, and he just gets on the heavy bag and wham! That sounds like it's shooting it. Yeah, that's because all the power isn't from your arms. You don't really need big arms to punch. What you need is the weight to come from here, the power to come from there. Right? So try this for a second. Okay, right, just try this. Put your arm out. Just put your arm out. Okay. Now, what we should do is just put all your attention up here. Right? Just put all your focus and all your attention up there. Nowhere else, but just up there. Okay? Keep all the attention up there. Yeah, there we go. Right. Yeah? Put it all up there. All the attention up there. Yeah? It's going to feel a bit weird, but trust me. Okay, put all your attention up on the top of your head. Right? Okay? Yeah. Strong lad. Right, put all your attention down here. Okay? You ever done martial arts? Yeah. Basic Aikido, basic karate. Actually, this is quite advanced karate. Okay? So put it in there. Put all your attention in there. Okay? Put all your attention there. Put the weight in your heels. Put all your attention there. Imagine there's a white light in there. Okay? Put all your attention in it. Okay? I got you eventually. Right? Now put all your attention right into there. Okay? Right into your navel. Put all your attention right into there. You know. Yeah, we used to do this with a big gig. We'd have like 600 people there, and we would pick the smallest female we could possibly find and some big ass second row rugby player. Yeah, and we give the young lady 5 minutes of prep. Okay, so she could do that properly. And I've seen 18 stone muscly rugby players not be able to pick up an 8 stone woman. Okay, they literally could not lift her off the ground. Okay? Anybody who tells you that they know how that works is lying. Okay? But it's the weirdest thing. Okay, it's the weirdest thing. If you, as a martial artist, okay, the first thing they teach you how to do is punch. Yeah, and then they teach you, once you get to a really decent level, they teach you how to do it properly. Yeah, well done. Thanks, mate. Like for example, okay, be grateful if you do this one. Okay, if you have your arm out and you put that leg up, okay, you just fall over. You have that arm out and you put that leg up, you're basically solid as a rock because of where your balance is, where your central gravity is. Okay? Because silly, simple things, okay? Like where you put your attention somehow changes your center of gravity. How? It doesn't move your bones, it doesn't change the fluid balance in your body, but somehow or other, you become light as a feather and heavy as a rock. Okay? So once you reach a really good level in martial arts, karate in particular, they simply do this. The more relaxed you are, the more power there is. Yeah? So you never see a really good martial artist is never tensed up. A really good boxer is like this. Yeah? They're never like you see people doing a punch bag. Okay? Because actually, the power for that punch comes from there, from that hip, which sounds bizarre, but if you ever try it, you'll notice the difference. Okay? There's 2 reasons that Mike Tyson at his peak was so fearsome. Hell, I wouldn't go in the ring with him now. I don't care what you paid me. I am not going into an enclosed space with that man under any circumstances. But there's 2 reasons why Mike Tyson was so fearsome. First one is, if you're a big, tall heavyweight, you couldn't hit him. He's 5'10". You're 6'10", he's 5'10". You're doing that, so you've automatically got no power because all your energy is up in the top end of your body, so you've got no power. Whereas he is 5'10" and he's coming from here. Right? His energy is coming from the center of the earth somewhere, and he hits you on the rise, you're going down. End of. Simple as that. I mean, there's the basic physics of mass times speed. And he was heavy and unbelievably fast. Yeah? So basic physics plus that weird thing that people can do, but it's focus. So thank you for helping me out with that. It's just an issue of focus. Okay? That's the most extreme and bizarre example. Yeah. Tony Robbins does his firewalks, which are actually really simple. They're a little bit of basic physics and focus. Okay, so when you ever seen a firewalk? Okay, big pit of basically charcoal. Okay, and you walk across it, and you've got a block of grass, block of turf. Okay, the turf is damp, so you walk on the turf, you stand there, you walk on the hot coals. Okay, and as Robin says, the difficult thing is making the first one because he'll guarantee you'll make the second. Yeah. But have you ever got a really hot frying pan and dropped water on it? I've forgotten the term for it. It's not Coriolis effect. Might be. Anyway, it's the same thing happens with your feet. Your feet are piss wet through because of the grass. You walk across the hot coals, you're fine. Unless you do that. Because you look down and you'll pause. And the moment you pause, your feet become a stake. If If you keep moving, because your eyes are up here, as they say, if you keep your eyes on the prize, but it is actually true. It does work. Yeah, if you keep your eyes on where you're going and you don't look down at the bed of hot charcoal that you're walking across, you're fine. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I did. They do it on a driving test now. Yeah. I did it on a car racing thing. Um, and one of my skiing instructors did the same thing to me. Whatever you look at, it's why you always hear about these Hollywood stars who've died in a road crash. They hit the only tree. Yeah? Well, the reason they hit the only tree is because they're going tree, tree, tree. Don't hit the tree. Don't hit the tree. Don't hit the bang. Yeah. So if you're on a skid pan, well, they put the car into a spin, and with me anyway, they physically grabbed my head and went that way. Okay, because I was just going like this all the time. They grabbed me, turned the head. Oh, okay. Yeah. If you're going skiing and you're going through the narrow piste through trees, okay, you better keep your eyes on the piste. You start looking around at the trees, I pretty much guarantee you're going to hit them. Yeah, exactly like that. It's exactly like skid pad. Really good analogy. That's the problem. Most of us focus on what we don't want. So guess what we get most of the time? Yeah. Once you start realizing it, you go, oh, yeah, oh, that's really obvious, isn't it? Yeah. If you look around and you're looking for blue, you'll find blue everywhere. You'll take things that are sort of a lightish grey and call them blue just because you want to feel successful. You look around for brown stuff and you'll find stinking heaps of it everywhere. Life is entirely about what you focus on. Making any sense at all, guys? Yeah. And it really can be as simple as looking at your to-do list and despairing, or looking at your to-do list and say, okay, what's the most valuable bit to do today? What's the most valuable place to start? Okay. Or should I clear off all the easy shit and then get around to the hard stuff? My suggestion would be no, by the way. Start with the hard stuff. But a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people just look at their to-do list and go, oh, no! I was tempted to do that last week. I hadn't looked at my LinkedIn inbox. I just amended my campaign, hadn't looked at my LinkedIn inbox. And for some reason, I think it must have been the search I did, but for some reason, pretty much everybody that I offered a cold calling script to said thank you. Yeah. My reply to that isn't automated, is it? But it's polite. If somebody says thank you, you should respond, shouldn't you? Now, 2 responses. Oh, fuck, that's another hour I'm never going to get back. Or, hey, it's working. Yeah. I reveled in the, oh, fuck, for about 30 seconds and I went, oh, okay, yeah, it's working. Yeah. But it was conscious because my first response, for whatever reason, was, oh, shit. Actually, I know what the reason was. I had a full week of real life courses last week. Get home at 6:30, pretty much feeped, I'll be honest. I've done a full week of a full day of training on my feet, go to the gym, hammer it, get to my inbox. Okay, suck it up, princess, crack on with it. Yeah. What's the easiest way of dealing with it? Write a really polite response, cut and paste. So last week, everybody got called mate. If I had a few, it'd be, oh, thanks, Dick, Jane, or Spot. But last week, everybody was mate. I tried a couple of my friends, but it just felt too Florida. I just couldn't do it. Okay? Calling complete strangers my friend, I just couldn't face it. So it's all, from the littlest thing to rewriting your personal history, it's all about what you focus on. Does that kind of hang together? Make sense? Right. Then apply exactly the same to your candidates and clients. Yeah. If you're talking to a candidate who is actively hacked off right now, as in they're a live candidate, they've come to you, okay? What focus do you want them to be taking? What is it you want them to be thinking about most? They're actively unhappy in their current job. You've got an opportunity that they might be appropriate for. What do you want them focusing on? Mm-hmm. Positives of the role and next steps. Yeah. You want them to think about how they can convince you, because they're actively unhappy where they are. They're actively looking for a job. So that part of the recruitment task is already completed. What you now want to do is focus on them selling to you, which makes life a hell of a lot easier. So they have to sell themselves to you instead of you selling to them. Yeah? Which, by the way, most recruitment consultants get really wiggy at. Yeah, but I'm still like, I've still got to sell to them. Not so much. You've got to sell the opportunity. You're absolutely right. But they've got to sell them to you at this point. On the other hand, you've got a passive candidate who is basically fine where they are. They haven't got a problem. Everything's good. What's the focus? What do you want them? What do you need them to focus on more than anything else? What could be better? What they would like that they're not getting. Yeah. Or in my parlance, what would they like a bit more of or a bit less of? Because if you can get them to focus on those two things, what would you like a bit more of? What would you like a bit less of? You can then amplify those into concerns and goals. If there's something they'd like a little bit less of, you amplify that to be a major issue. If they want a little bit more of something, you amplify that into being a goal. Make sense? But it all starts with what's the focus. You've got a cold prospect. Yeah? You sent out an e-shot and you're doing a bit of follow-up to them. Okay? By the way, I should say, full disclosure, if you've got your candidate machine running at full tilt, you may not need to follow up on every single e-shot. Your colleagues across the way, for example, Cos has so many inbound candidates of the right quality, he doesn't bother calling everybody that's not responding to his e-shots, because if they don't like that particular flavour, he's got another flavour coming up in 2 days' time. Yeah? So if you've got such a strong through flow, if you've got such a massive deal flow coming through the pipe, you don't need to sweat each contact. You only follow up on the dream clients. You only follow up on the dream 100, where you've used your e-shot as a door opener. Where you've used your highly desirable candidate as a door opener. Okay? On the other hand, if you haven't got the deal flow, if you haven't got the candidate flow that you need, you follow up with everybody because you need to maximize the opportunities. Yeah? Stating the bloody obvious at this point, I hope. But you'd be amazed at how much like voodoo and rocket science that sounds to most recruiters. Yeah? That's what? No, black magic, evil, bad, no. Okay, so you've got a prospect and you're following up on a candidate. What do you want them to focus on in that follow-up call? What's the focus? What do you want them thinking about more than anything else in that call? Okay, let's try the opposite. What do you not want them focusing on? What's the least important thing for them to think about? I would say, whether you're an existing supplier and your company website stuff, how long you've been in business, your experience, your background, all that sort of stuff. Okay, I would say that the most important thing for them to be focusing on is how good is that candidate and how could they potentially help their business or their organization. And then secondly, well, if you can deliver that one, what else could you do for them? If you can deliver that without a brief, what could you do if you've really got a brief and you really know what you're looking for? So what you want a cold prospect focusing on where you've sent an e-shot out is the good aspects, the good qualities of that candidate, even if they're not right. Again, that's 180 degrees from what most recruiters do. You send out an e-shot, you call a prospect, they go, oh, well, they're not quite right for us. Everybody's instinct is to go, what do you want instead then? Okay? Let me turn into a salesperson. I'm going to sell you a second-hand car. Okay? You think that's bad? Try a second-hand MG. Here you go. Or what's actually better to go, okay, obviously I would love them to be perfect for you. But can I just ask you, what aspects of profile are right for you? What aspects of it do you like? They could come back with, well, actually, it's complete miss. Fine, not a problem. Then you can explore what would be a fit, okay? So that I never darken your towels with somebody that's inappropriate again. But ideally, you focus on what's good, because that that will give them an incentive to talk to you in the future. Because if you've got somebody who's got some very good qualities, but isn't quite right, but it's from cold and you don't know them from Adam, what could you do with a proper understanding? Because if you focus them on what they don't like about your candidate, you get associated with it. If you focus on what they want instead, that means that your next call is still a cold call, because you've not built up any personal credibility from this one. It sounds like a semantic difference, but it's a massive one. You pull out what's good about this first candidate and build on it. That gives you much more opportunity for success with the next candidate. Yeah? Well, yeah, their sales figures are great, but we'd really be looking for a bit more of this. Okay. Well, yeah, well, sales figures are okay, but what we need is, it's great that they've got experience in this, but what we really need is someone with experience in this and that and that. We need all three of them. Okay. Why is that so particularly important? Oh, because and now they're talking to you. Now you're engaging with them. Now you're consulting, which is, after all, what the job title is. Not recruitment salesperson, it's recruitment consultant. A consultant understands somebody's issues and delivers solutions and gets paid for it. Happy days. So it's all about the focus. When you come out, when you're prepping somebody, yes, there's some housekeeping. You're prepping a candidate, there's some basic housekeeping. Yeah. Dress code. Where's the meeting? How's the meeting? Have they got the Zoom link? Have they got the address? All the basic housekeeping-y stuff. But then you want to pull out what exactly they're looking for from a potential next role and how we'll know they found it. Because you can then brief that to the client. You're doing the same with the client. What are they looking for in a potential hire, and how will they know that they found it? Because you can then feed that to the candidate. Yeah. Most recruiters don't do that. Most recruiters never think about what each person's looking for and how they'll know they found it. You focus on those every single time, you're going to get better results. End of. Simple as. Okay. When they come out the meeting, what most people do is go, what's the question? How did it go? Okay. And the response to that could be anything. You don't know where the fuck it's going. That's because it's, if you remember the stuff we did a while ago, that's a neutral framing question. You don't know whether they're going to be excited and positive or miserable and talking about the brown stuff covered in flies. Yeah. So your focus is, what was good? What could have been better? Okay. Alternatively, and this is merely personal choice, you can go, what could have been better? What was good? As in, you're ending by talking about the positives. Okay. That's kind of more logical. It doesn't always work, but it's kind of more logical. But you never, ever, if you can possibly avoid it, ask a neutral framing question. How'd it go? Frankly, whatever you get from that, you deserve. because it's technically what we in the influence and psychology business call a fucking stupid question. If you go into psychological textbooks and you look up fucking stupid question, that will be there. Okay? It's dumb. It makes no sense because you've got no control over what comes out of it. If it's good, you didn't produce it. If it's bad, you spend the rest of the call trying to fix it. What went well? What could have been better? If you want to be slightly pedantic about it, what went most well? What could have been better? It's all about the question. It's all about the frame that you put on your personal history, on your to-do list and your tasks, on the questions you ask other people, and the questions you ask yourself. I know I'm making this sound a bit simplistic. You've got no idea how long and how hard I had to work to make it sound this simplistic. Because it's probably the hardest life skill to learn. It's certainly one of the hardest sales skills to learn. The hardest influence skill to learn. Because you've got to be on, you've got to be awake, and you've got to be prepared. The moment you go to autopilot, you'll just ask neutral, open questions. What did you think of them? How'd it go? What were they like? If your question isn't directed, you've got no clue what you're getting. If you look at something on your desk and you ask yourself stupid questions, you will give yourself really good answers to really stupid questions. Like there's two of my real favorites. I'll share them both because I think they'll be useful for you. The first is when brown stuff happens. A lot of people's first instinct is to go, oh shit, why me? Why does it always happen to me? Why me? Why does that shit keep happening? If you ask yourself that question long enough, eventually there'll be a little voice in your brain that goes, because you deserve it. Because you're a chump. Because it's your fate in life. That's not useful. Unless you want to be depressed. Some people do. Unless you want to be depressed, why does it happen to me and all the variations upon it? I'm sure you can think of a dozen different variations of that. None of them are productive. None of them take you anywhere useful. They all take you into varying degrees of brown smelly stuff. Yeah? If, on the other hand, something brown stuff happens, something bad happens, and you go, okay, that's horrible. One of the magic question. Here's the magic question. It sounds horrible. It's actually really useful. What did I do to cause it? What did I do to cause it? Yeah, that's horrible. I get a candidate that pulls out at the last minute, and I've got this. I think I've got 20 grand fee banked, and they bail. And what did I do to cause it? Shit, I'm going to end up depressed and in hospital and going to see the GP for drugs and yeah. But think about it for a second. If your focus is on what you did to cause it, what can you do? Fix it. Do it differently next time. Yeah? It's the most extreme one. What did I do to make this happen? What did I do to cause this? But the moment you ask it, you've taken personal responsibility for all sorts of stuff. Now, it might not be real, by the way. You might not actually be responsible for any of it. We're in a business where both the client and the candidate can say no. You can do everything perfectly at every stage at exactly the right time in exactly the right way, and the wheels fall off. It will happen. Okay? But if you say, what did I do to cause this? And you genuinely search and you think, God's honest truth, nothing. I did everything right at the right time in the right way. Fine. What you've learned from that is carry on doing what you're doing. On the other hand, if you ask yourself, well, what did I do to cause that? Well, that prep was a bit rushed and I didn't really do the debrief I didn't nail down I left too long between this and that. I let the time slide a bit here. Okay, that's all stuff you can fix. That's stuff you can do better next time. Yeah. So what did I do to pile on 20 kilos over lockdown? Stop working out, and I ate from the local shop. Yeah. It's not profound. It's not a major scientific breakthrough, but once I've realised that, I can fix it, thank you. Yeah. I don't need major psychological work. Actually, I do need major psychological work, but that's a whole other thing. Yeah. I don't need a major psychological overhaul to realise, what did I do to cause this? What I did was eat the wrong stuff for a very long time and not do the stuff I enjoy. Yeah. My little pal earlier on today was, what your favourite activities? Actually, my favourite activities are lifting heavy shit and walking on hills. Stopped doing both of them during lockdown. Yeah, that piled on. Cause effect. If you think of life as cause and effect, and if you assume, rightly or wrongly, that all the causes are within your control, the level of freedom it gives you is unbelievable. Once you assume personal responsibility for everything that happens in your life, well, if you caused it, if you made it happen, and you don't like the result, that means that you can do different stuff and get a different result. Not complicated, but by Christ, it changes everything. Once you actually accept that whatever happens, maybe you didn't cause it, but maybe you contributed to it. And I don't mean, by the way, going down the victim route. Yeah? That's a whole other thing. Oh, it's all my fault. No, sometimes you're just dealing with a cock. Yeah? Oh, if I hadn't done that, they wouldn't have done this. No, sometimes you're just dealing with an asshole. Yeah? I'm not suggesting you take the blame. That's different from taking responsibility. Okay? What could I have done differently? There are contexts where that is not valid. Yeah, if you're a spouse who's being beaten, okay, that is not a question that's relevant, because you didn't do anything to cause it. They're just an asshole. Whatever gender they might be, they're an asshole. Okay? You didn't cause this, other than you stayed. Yeah? Other than you hooked up with them in the first place. But okay, now what? Even in such an extreme example, there's a now what that you can take responsibility for. Yeah. They're hanging together, guys. Yeah. Last example. We talked about a while ago, we talked about parts of a question. Setup, question, response, follow-up. Yeah. Most important part, bar none, is the setup and the follow-up, in that order. Okay? Set the question up properly, follow-up is easy. Set the question up badly, probably nothing to follow up on, other than trying to recover. Yeah? Least important part, the actual question. Because most questions are really obvious. What's the best, easiest, fastest, what's the slowest, hardest, worst? How, what, why, where, and who? Okay? But that setup phase, one of the key parts of that is a priming phrase, alternatively a focus phrase, okay? Where you're priming somebody to think about something in a certain way before you ask them the question. So if I said to you, in fact, forget the if I said to you, I'm going to say to you, thinking about the rest of this financial year, okay? In terms of how you're tracking at the moment and what you really want to achieve. Not what you think you're going to, but what you'd really like to achieve. Okay? If you look like you're going to overshoot, that's great. If you look like you're undershooting badly or to some degree, just think about a couple of things. Thinking about where you're at now and your trend and what you really, really want to achieve this year. Okay? What do you think the most important things to focus on are going to be for the next few months? Question's really easy. What's the most important things to focus on the next few months? Setup really makes it sink. Okay? Let me throw some more in there. Okay? Thinking about how you're tracking at the moment. The rest of the financial year, just be aware of how you're tracking at the moment and focus on what you really want to achieve. What would be an awesome result that you would love to get on the books, that you can see there as something that will make you proud and happy. Okay? Now just think about that for a second. Just focus on one thing, which is why. Why would that be so great for you? What difference would it make? Okay? And now let me ask you a question. Over the next few months, what do you think you're going to have to focus on or change to make that happen? So I can throw in a subject, I can throw in a bit of motivation, I can throw in some extra stuff before I actually ask a question. Because in any situation, the stuff you like, the stuff you don't like, the stuff you want, the stuff you want to avoid, the question is, what are you going to choose to focus on each day? Oop, that was a setup followed by a question. Oops, dear, my technique showing. Cannot emphasize that enough. That focus for you personally, and also in the way you ask your questions to other people. Okay? But mainly to you. Because if you get you sorted, the questions are slightly prejudiced because I invented a lot of this shit, but the questions are fairly easy to learn and practice. Setups, they take a bit of practice because everybody makes them too concise, but they're not difficult to learn. Focus phrase inoculation, how hard can it be? Okay? But you've got to get you in the right place first. Okay? If you're too far in your own head, and if you're too far in why you don't like it and how awkward it is and how horrible it is, no, it's all exploitative, and oh, I'm never going to make a success of this. Now I've seen all these other people around me doing better and I'm not doing that great, and it must be about me. You get in your own head. Yeah? You get in your own head, you'll fall over. It's like, yeah. Get too far in your own head, you'll fall over. What you've got to get into is choosing to make it happen, which is a very different mindset. That's as close to a philosophical session as I'm ever going to get, I promise you. Okay? But that is basically how you pull together all the technique and content stuff that we've done over the months together. Okay? Because a lot of the content stuff will have, I suspect, have come and gone, or it's come and stuck and you're not conscious of it anymore. Take something, practice it, give yourself a pat on the back for trying it. Do it again, reward. Do it again, reward. Do it again, reward. Behavior, reward. Ain't Pavlov ring any bells? Pavlov bells. No? Nothing? That's harsh. Yeah. That's how you train a dog. It's how you train any animal, and we're not that different. Yeah. If you do something, you get a reward for it, you'll do it more. You do something, you get punished for it, eventually you'll stop. I'm done.